So here we are, Season 3, Disc 2, Episode 144, False Prophets. One more time, our episodes are not in order, and there'll be several more discs where the episodes are not in order. And hey, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina K-O-S-T-I-N-A. This is where I read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy stuff going here, and sorry, I'm not good at the one-liners or the false prophets or the what will the Ferengi do now or I don't know. I'm not very good at that kind of stuff. I'm just not. So please, if you can, hit the like and subscribe. I could really appreciate it. One day, Christmas maybe. Christmas next year, Christmas the year after, Christmas 2030. Please sometime let me hit 1,000 subscribers. As of this taping, we got a long way to go. But anyways, we are up to False Prophets. Where's my thing? Gotta find my thing. False Prophets. Episode 144. We do get a captain's log. So you know what that means? Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? That means, of course, we get a view of the outside of the ship. Captain's log, stardate 50074.3. We have detected evidence that a wormhole recently appeared and then disappeared in a nearby solar system. We are on our way there to investigate. Kim says, based on residual neutrino levels, I'd estimate it's at least 6 months since the wormhole's last appearance. From the dispersal pattern of the interstellar plasma, it looks like it isn't fixed, Chakotay says. Seems to be traveling through space. It may not be fixed, Jane, on this end, Janeway says. Not if it's shown up in the same location more than once. It's possible its exit point is constant, and it's wagging around the Delta Quadrant like the tail on a dog. Weird infinism, she said. Dang! I've already screwed up once today. Last week I screwed up 4 times during this Voyager episode. But anyways. So Paris says they're approaching the last coordinates of the wormhole. Janeway says, I'll stop. Do scans. Kim is scanning. Tuvok says he's scanning the planets in the systems for life signs. And he's like, maybe there's someone... Alright, wait a minute. I'm getting confused here. Janeway says, scan the planets in this system for life signs, Tuvok. Maybe there's someone around who can give us some information. And then Tuvok says, I'm picking up an M-class atmosphere on the second planet, humanoid life signs. However, metallurgic analysis indicates a pre-industrial civilization, a Bronze Age level of technology. Curious, Captain, what? I'm also detecting that these people have had contact with the Alpha Quadrant. What kind of evidence? It's a modulated energy discharge that appears to be consistent with the recent use of the replicator. If they've got a replicator, it would mean the wormhole leads to the Alpha Quadrant, and that someone's traveled through it, Kim says. I appreciate your enthusiasm, Ensign, but before we indulge too much speculation, let's see if we can back up your assumption with some facts. Commander Cote, I want you and Lieutenant Pass to go down to the planet and have a look around. Launch a high-resolution reconnaissance probe to gather information about the local population's dress and appearance. Aye, we're going. So, you know what a view of the outside of the Voyager means? You guessed it. Captain's log, stardate 50074.5. Based on information provided by the probe, we have replicated local attire for Commander Chote and Lieutenant Paris. They have gone to the surface to investigate. So they're on the planet, and Paris is like, this is where we picked up a replicator signature? Hard to believe, isn't it? And then they run into a bard. You know, one of those storyteller guys. So he's spewing some stuff. Years ago, the people were sad and lonely. I wish I could run this and talk about it as we run it, but we can't do that. Hey, if anybody, and there has to be at least 10 or 15 people to sign up, put it in the comments. Probably wouldn't be this season, but it might be next season. But if 10 people agree to participate, we'll go through a live viewing. Everybody can watch it at the same time. Get your DVDs out or um catch it on Paramount Plus, and we'll all sit and talk about an episode live. Like Tarn does for Survivor. Everybody watches their own version of Survivor. So we'll each watch our own version of the show, and we'll just talk about it. But there has to be at least 10, 15 people to sign up for it. Otherwise, there's no point in me doing it for myself. I'm doing it for myself now. Oh, hold on. So then the bard comes over and asks them what did he think of his speech. And wait a second, that's it? He just comes over. Oh, wait a second, let me see if I can find it. It was very nice, Chakotay says. Darn it! These things keep popping up. It was very nice. Nice. I wager you've never heard the song of sages more beautifully or recited faithfully. He's got a point, Paris says. As you know, the first verse is V. After that, it'll cost you 3 fangs. Sorry, not today. Oh, but I need the money. Ointment for my eye. Go away, oh man. Can't you see these men of commerce? You have no business with your silly poems. So then the guy says, go away. These are men of commerce. You have no business with your silly poems. May say you have very fine shoes. Excuse me? Well, the sages say you can tell a great deal about a man from his shoes. I can tell that your shoes from refinement and affluence. We really need to be going, Chakotay says. You're obviously new in Take Car. Perhaps I could interest you in some property. No, thank you. We're not planning on settling. What about some transportation? The sages say time's an asset, and you couldn't waste your assets walking around everywhere you go. You'd be wearing out your fine shoes. And then Chakotay picks up a narrow band EM dampening field around the building, and it's looking like some sort of temple. And Merchant says, thank the sages I found you. You can't enter the temple without wearing your ears. What do you mean ears? Ah. Hey, guess what? We got an outside of the view of the ship again. You know what that means, right? Captain's log, stardate. Supplemental. I've been asked to join Lieutenant Torres and Ensign Kim in the science lab to hear what they've determined is exciting news. They've been able to determine, Kim says, that the wormhole does lead to the Alpha Quadrant. Torres says the problem is on this end. It's jumping from point to point so quickly that even at maximum warp, by the time you get to its next probable location, it would be gone. So we're thinking if you can't bring the ship to the wormhole, bring the wormhole to the ship. We've detected a subspace instability at our current location that's the result of the wormhole's last appearance here. Torres says if we can amplify and polarize the instability, we might be able to get the wormhole to reappear. Sort of like using a magnet to move a compass on a needle. The question is, how do we polarize the instability? Kim says we haven't figured that part out yet. So they hear a gong, everybody gathers, and I want to know what is it, Star Trek and scantily clad women. Scantily clad women. This is their speaker. The holy sages want your money. We found our Ferengi and our replicator. So they make the whole town chant greed is eternal. So Chakotay goes over to a corner and contacts Janeway quietly. We found your replicator. What does it say? Uh and then logs off. They make the people crawl up to them to ask for stuff. Good grief. He says he's a sandal maker and he needs stuff to make shoes or sandals. He needs money. And instead they give him a book and they make him pay for it. And he pays for it. Oops. Another outside view of the ship. Captain's log settlement of the way team has returned with some very disturbing observations about the situation on the planet. No blank, Sherlock. So they're all in the briefing room, and Chakotay says, "It seems the people have a myth, an epic poem called the Song of the Sages, which predicts the arrival of two demigods from the sky, the sages who would rule over people as benevolent benefactors. But these Ferengis are anything but benevolent," Paris says. "What they've done is co-opt the local mythology by using advanced technology like the replicator to convince the people that they're the two sages spoken of in the poem. Of course, being Ferengi, they haven't just co-opted the mythology, they've cornered the market on everything. It's disgusting, Captain. The two Ferengi live in a palatial temple while the people are lucky to have a roof over their heads. Apparently, it wasn't always like that. According to the people that we've met, before the Ferengi arrived, the society may have been primitive, but it was flourishing. I'd like to know how two Ferengi got to the Delta Quadrant. We've been looking into that," she says, "Mr. Tuvok." According to Starfleet, Tuvok says, 7 years ago, the Federation Starship Enterprise hosted negotiations for ownership of the Bazarian wormhole, including among the bidding parties were two Ferengi, minor functionaries known as Ardor and Cole. And this wormhole, Neelix says, is the same one we've discovered now. Apparently, we've confirmed what nobody knew at the time, that the wormhole is fixed in the Alpha Quadrant, but in the Delta Quadrant it jumps around. It turned out to be worthless. But the Ferengi, Tuvok says, were not aware of that, and during a nefarious attempt to secure the wormhole for themselves, they were pulled in and deposited in the Delta Quadrant. Now that we have found them, what are we going to do with them? Well, I certainly don't intend to leave them there to continue exploiting an innocent society. How are you two coming with getting the wormhole back here and reopened? So then Kim says, so far everything is according to plan, but it's tricky. There's 100 factors that could deflect from the sector. It's a gravimetric shift, a solar flare. And if we're lucky enough to get it here, it won't be around for long. We have a very short window of opportunity to get through. Well, if we can get the wormhole here, Janeway says, we'll be taking 2 additional passengers with us. We'll turn them over to Ferengi authorities when we get there. But the Ferengi were not aware of that, Tuvok says. They are, and that the Ferengi are not members of the Federation. They are not bound by the Prime Directive, nor would it seem that the Prime Directive would allow us to interfere with the internal affairs of the society, as much as we may approve of what the Ferengi are doing. Janeway says, the Federation did host the negotiations, and if it weren't for those negotiations, the Ferengi wouldn't be here. So one could say, without unreasonable, I think, that the Federation is responsible for what happened and therefore duty bound to correct the situation. A most logical interpretation, Captain Tuvok says. So the two Ferengi are enjoying their wealth. These two scantily clad women pet his ears all day. He's counting his money, etc. So the Bart, he comes in and he's like, I can't collect the money. The people don't have it anymore. And then somebody disappears. So the two Ferengi get beamed away, and the guy's like, I've been left alone with all this money. Maybe if I take some of it, I can give it back and say, this is what I've collected from that district that I couldn't get anything out because they're so poor. Just thoughts to ponder. Oops! Where are we? We've been captured. Captain Catherine Janeway, the Federation starship Voyager. The Federation, shut up, Cole. Let me handle this. What, may I ask, is the Federation doing in the Delta Quadrant? It's a long story, but suffice it to say, we've been stranded here for 2 years. We're on our way back to the Alpha Quadrant, and we're taking you with us. This is an outrage, they say. We won't allow you. You're crazy. It could take decades to get back from here. Show them, Mr. Tuvok. We've been bombarding a local subspace instability with Federan particles. If all goes according to plan, the Bazarian wormhole should reopen at our position in a matter of hours. And if it doesn't go according to plan, one way or another, you're coming with us. And the Ferengi argue. We've been kidnapped, snatched from the embrace of bliss. It's all over. No more limited profits. No more questioning adulteration of masses. No more quadruple lobe rubes. If I'm mistaken, Captain, the Federation has rules, and the rules forbid you to interfere with ingenious cultures. What about your interference? You've taken these people's religion and manipulated it for your own selfish purposes, pretending to be their sages. Who's to say we aren't their sages, Captain? Don't be ridiculous. And he repeats the whole song and the sage story to her, which she already knows, because Tuvok already told her. So after all that, she sends them back to the planet. I think that was a mistake, but she sends them back. We can't leave the Ferengi there to continue exploiting these poor people. But Alder's right. We can't kidnap their gods either. What other options is there, Neelix says. What if their gods just didn't disappear suddenly and explicitly? What if they left voluntarily and gracefully? The gods would be gone, but the people would be prepared for it, and they might accept it natural ordinance, Chakotay says. Exactly. But how do we get two Ferengi to just walk away from a monopoly on an entire economy? What motivates Ferengi? Profit. Then we must find a way to make it more profitable for them to leave, or less profitable to stay. How do we say that? We out the Ferengi as the false guards that they are. He's like, someone has invaded our vault. That minion that was there before. Go find out who's invaded our vault. And then we get this. So Neelix comes in as the Grand Nagus, the leader of the Ferengi's people, and he's telling them they've been recalled and that they will be leaving immediately. And they try to convince Neelix of the prophets, and he informs them that he knows all about their shame and the song of the sages and the rest of it. Very clever. But he wants you and all your acquisitions back in Freganar before the wormhole closes again. I'm sure the Grand Nagus wouldn't want to lose such a lucrative venue. The wormhole seems to open and close it on its own every 7 or 8 years. We would be willing to forward a share of the profits every time it says 20%. And then they argue about whose shares coming out of. And the Grand Nagus has no intention of losing profits from the market. That's why he's already opened his own team to figure things out. And let's go on here. So he tells them to prepare a speech for their goodbye. And Neelix quotes 299th rule of acquisition. Whenever you exploit someone, it never hurts to thank them. That way it's easy to exploit them the next time. Hey, wait a minute, there's only 285 rules. You've been gone a long time. Oh, by the way, did I mention the Nagus is appropriating all of your holdings? Interesting. So Neelix starts giving out money to all the people in town as Paris and Chakotay watch, and the women are suspicious that he's giving the money away. A true Ferengi would never give all the money away, but he's doing that. So Neelix goes in there. He tries to do some more stuff. They call his bluff. They end up in a little bit of a tussle. Uh he gets a little messed up. So they celebrate kicking Neelix out. So Neelix tells them they know that he's not the Grand Proxy. Oh great. And they head to the shuttle, but they get interrupted. So the Bard stops them and they get into a conversation with the Bard, and they say his patch is on the wrong eye. They know he's a false person. He moves the patch back to the other eye, and then he gives them the opening that they need. He's reciting his sage poem again about the sages that rescue blah blah blah, and then he goes, "It's coming to me now. There are mid-eastern lights. 3 new stars appeared that night, and with the ringing of the bell, the sages knew where they must drown. The holy pilgrim led them back high into the sky of black, and riding on the wings of fire, the holy man rose higher and higher." Now wait a minute. Now I know you are. And Nilix was like, "I'm the holy pilgrim. Did you hear that? The holy pilgrim, the holy pilgrim. Yes, the holy pilgrim." So the people are gathering outside, and Neelix is saying that he is the holy pilgrim, and all the people are gathering around the building to hear what he has to say. And they hear the noises, so they go out to check. So they're like, "He's not the holy pilgrim, he's a Talaxian." And Neelix goes up to him and goes, "No, no, I am the holy pilgrim. Um, where is it now? I have come to lead you back high in the sky of black. I have prayed for this day," someone says. "Lead them back, lead them back, lead them back, lead them back." The whole chant crowd. And the the crowd is like really chanting this. "Well, it looks as though you two will be heading off to see the Grand Nagus after all. We'll see about that. I am not a false pilgrim, I can prove it." And then they beam the guys up. He tries to cut Neelix off, saying he's a false god, blah, 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 but the people don't buy it. I mean, these two Ferengi have been stealing their profits forever. So, anyways. So, because of the surprise attack, the Ferengi have put a force field, and so they're trying to work through the force field on Voyager. So, that's what's preventing the beam out. So, the team needs to be a little on the creative side. So the guy goes over and rings the bong, and with the ringing of the bell, the sages knew where they must dwell. Oh yes, like the song says, it's time for you to go back where you came from. And the crowd goes, "Yes, yes, to the stars, to the stars." So then the people tie the 3 of them up and set up fire. And Paris explains to them that if they want to live, they need to turn off their generator. And the guy says it's in the vault. So they go to turn off the generator before the fire gets them. The guys get in, turn off the generator, and the Ferengi are beamed away. Everybody's been beamed up to Voyager. So then the doctor reports to the captain that the guy that was guarding the Ferengi ship was knocked out. So they tried to stop the Ferengi from leaving, and they leave. So they're like, "Thanks, it's been nice knowing you," and they start to head back. Um, And Kim says the Ferengi are emitting a graviton pulse. It's targeting the scanners off again. Not only that, it's destabilizing the wormhole. And the Ferengi get through the wormhole, but it collapses before our people can get through it. They try to get through the wormhole, and the wormhole collapses before they get there. And that's the end of the episode. Set a course for the Alpha Quadrant. Warp 6 is how we end the episode. And that is it. Uh, uh, so I hope you will tune in with me next week for Remember, and then Sacred Ground, and then Future's End Part 1. And if you haven't seen the Star Trek Next Generation recaps, please go check those. There's a couple of those that I really need to redo one day for the gobbleness of the audio. And JD Robb, Eve Dallas, character spoilizations on Saturday, unboxings on Sunday. Oh, don't forget If Then later this afternoon. If you like this book, you might like that book. And Flashback Mondays. Could use some suggestions on that. See the Flashback Monday page. And of course my daily book reviews. And depending on where you are, at 7:45 every night on the D. Louise Book Series channel, we're talking about Diana Gableton's Echo in the Bone, written in my own heart's blood, or Go Tell the Bees That I'm Gone, and or the scheduling of this channel. Maybe we'll do the new Outlander book if it's out by that point, and we will be going back to the first Outlander book and working our way through the rest of them. Have a good one.